What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here, the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts from the side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Tad the Side. And Ted, we're coming to the middle of March here. We got about a month and a half until the NFL draft is upon us. We've had a handful of pro days already, so it's like, yeah, we're officially in that sort of, draft season, like, we're getting to the final parts of the off season here before we get into the dregs of summer where we have to wait until training camp and mini camps and all that stuff. So we got, a little bit of time here left as far as like, good, solid NFL action.
This is my favorite part of draft season because this is where the rumors start running wild.
Oh yeah.
And all the speculation just gets out of control because you're exactly right. It's like pro days and nothing else. And so it's just like people sitting there twiddling their thumbs, us included, by the way, being like, hey, this would be pretty cool to talk about. And I love it. It just get like, do you remember when there were the talks that the Colts might take RG3 over Andrew Luck?
Oh yeah. Towards the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Because people got bored. People got bored.
Explore the idea about taking RG3 instead of Andrew Luck. And yeah, I remember that was a discussion point. So yeah, no, it's like you kind of have to find these talking points for sure. And so yeah, I think we're definitely going to get a lot of these random rumors that sort of circulate. We're going to see some prospects that, shoot up the rankings all of a sudden, or some guys that may shoot down the rankings as well.
That Mizzou kid is rocketing.
Yeah, he is absolutely shooting up those boards for sure. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of interesting things and storylines and things to talk about over the next month and a half before the draft is upon us. But Tad, before we get into all that, we sort of wanted to do a mock draft, obviously with some timing issues. We're able to do it a little bit sooner here. But yeah, we wanted to get a mock draft, especially after all of these free agent signings that sort of happened. And so we wanted to do top 16. We're not going to go the full 32 until we get to the closer to the beginning of the draft there, where we drop our final mock draft there with our 1 through 32 picks. And so this is what we're going to do. Top 16, so the first half of the draft. No trades in this one either. So just pretty much just if everybody stays in picks, what direction do you think some of these teams are going to go? And so, I mean, yeah, with that, we'll sort of split this up into sections of 4. So Tad, why don't you give me your first 4 picks of your mock draft in this situation here?
Well, you know what, buddy, in the name of tradition, I think so. We both have the Titans selecting first overall since
no trade. So yeah, Titans are still there. Number 1.
So in the name of tradition, let's go first overall together. You ready?
Okay.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Tyler Loop. Oh, come on!
Yeah, I just left out.
Tyler Loop, 5'11" kicker out of Arizona, 190 pounds, 6 kicks plus 50 yards.
Only 6?
Only 6. 6 out of 9.
Okay,
nice. There are no funny names in this year's draft. I looked. Tyler Loop is the best I got.
I like Borregales out of Miami.
Yeah, it lacks the comedic factor. Tyler Loop, he's legit.
Okay.
All right. But in all seriousness, in the name of tradition, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Cam Ward. Oh, come on. All trust broken. Yeah. Fine. I will go all 4. You traitor. All right. So number 1, Titans take Cam Ward. Look, I mean, there's just no way this new regime trusts Will Levis. They had to find their guy of the future. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this year's class. Stands to reason. Number 2, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders.
Okay, so you got back-to-back quarterbacks.
I got back-to-back quarterbacks. Jeremy Fowler has reported that there is increasing interest on the Browns front in Shedeur, and that there is mutual interest on Shedeur's front in being drafted by the Browns, which makes sense, given his, savior complex of he can be the Brown savior. And honest to God, they just need something to inject some life into this franchise, especially it looks like Nick Chubb, and surprisingly, Nick Chubb has gotten very little free agent interest. So there's not really much that's going to bring people to the stadium. especially on this offensive front. So yeah, let's get Shedeur in there. And if he, comes along a little slowly, great. You got Pickett. And then, I guess eventually you got Deshaun Watson. By the way, shout out to Deshaun Watson. He finally found his happy ending.
There's also rumor, Ted, that Carson Wentz has some potential mutual interest in the Cleveland Browns as well. So he may
it's the Eagles of 2015. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So at number 3, the New York Giants, with both quarterbacks off the board, take Travis Hunter. Now, again, he has that marketability, and it really doesn't matter. Well, where do they play him? Receiver or cornerback? They need help at both positions. And again, with that marketability, if they play him more at receiver, then you got Neighbors and Travis Hunter. That's pretty easy sell for the marketing team. At number 4, I have the New England Patriots taking Abdul Carter. Now, this was tough. Yeah, this was tough because I almost had them going offensive line because I actually think that should be a higher priority for them. If I was the Patriots GM, that's what I would do. But I think with Mike Vrabel as head coach, they go the defensive route. And honestly, Abdul Carter, as you pointed out, great get at number 4.
Solid pick. So yeah, quarterback back-to-back for you with the Browns and the Titans there. And then Shedeur is, member of the Browns. That's a very intriguing one.
But what are your thoughts on Tyler Loop?
No thoughts at all.
Damn it!
So mine sort of plays out similarly at number 1 overall. Tennessee needs to go quarterback here. I think they go Cam Ward. He's arguably the best quarterback in this year's draft class, but it doesn't say much with this year's draft class, Ad. I mean, we'll get to this in a later episode, but just, this quarterback draft class, I think we may see a pretty weak draft class, very reminiscent of that 2022 NFL draft class. So it's like, I think we should see comparison here. But Tad, the Titans have not had a quarterback throw for either 3,500 passing yards or over 30 passing touchdowns since
Kerry Collins?
No.
Damn it!
Sooner than that.
Wow.
This is only a handful of years ago. Ryan Tannehill accomplished 3,500 passing yards in 2021. But if you go back to the COVID year, 2020, he did both. So he threw for over 3,500 passing yards as well as over 30 passing touchdowns. But since then, Will Levis has not been the answer. Malik Willis has not been the answer. They had Josh Dobbs for a little bit. He was not the answer. But Tad, in the 2 years that Will Levis has been a member of the Tennessee Titans, in 2 seasons, he has combined to throw for only 21 total touchdowns between both seasons and 3,899 passing yards. So it's like, it has not been all that great with.
Let me interrupt. And sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. Throw for 21 total touchdowns or score 21 total touchdowns?
This is purely just throwing.
I mean, it was better than I thought, to be honest. which shows you how low the bar is for him.
Yeah, he barely threw for over 2,000 passing yards last season as to why that number is so high. So it's like, they need to go in a different direction. I think Cam Ward answers that question for you guys. All right, getting to the Cleveland Browns here. There's obviously all those rumors around Myles Garrett wanting to be traded. He ended up signing a fat contract with the Cleveland Browns to stay there in Cleveland.
Sorry, guys, he's coming on. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Bullshit. Sorry, keep going.
It's very much that SpongeBob meme, with Mr. Krabs, who's like, yes, I like money. It's like, this pretty much what happened. No,
that's exactly what
with Myles Garrett. But I don't think that it's a stop. He's not going to finish his career as a Brown. I think eventually he's going to see how bad the Browns are still. Yeah. And he's going to be like, you know what? I don't care how much money you paid me. I want to get out. So as an insurance policy, I think at number 2, even with the rumors of the injuries and everything, I think they go Abdul Carter because in the interim, you got a good, opposite pass rusher there for Myles Garrett with Abdul Carter. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has said he should be fine by his pro day and definitely will be fine by the beginning of the season. So I don't think there's going to be any issues there. So I think they definitely need to upgrade that defense. And Ted, we've spoken about it so many times, with the offense sort of catering to Deshaun Watson, they need to make sure one side of the ball is pretty good and stocked up. And so I think they need to continue to add to that defense. So it's like when Deshaun Watson goes 3 and out for 4 consecutive drives, the defense can potentially at least keep them in the game by keeping it a low scoring affair. So I think they go Abdul Carter here at number 2. Number 3, this is where I have Shedeur Sanders going. So it's
naturally.
We could talk about this quarterback class being not all that great, but the one thing that we can agree upon with Shedeur Sanders specifically, one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this year's draft class, and he's got that grit that's like, if he doesn't have the protection in front of him, he's willing to make plays from the pocket, but he's also willing to sit in the pocket, take a big hit, but still complete the pass. And so I think when you draft a guy like Malik Neighbors last year, you need a guy who could get him the ball. We saw some of that a little bit here, but I think you get a guy like Shedeur Sanders who could definitely execute those types of plays. Yes, they're still in the market for Russell Wilson, possibly Aaron Rodgers, but they're not long-term answers. They need a long-term solution at the quarterback position. So maybe they draft Sanders. He develops a little bit behind Rodgers and or Wilson, comes in as the starter maybe 2 years from now, and he can sort of thrive under the system there for the New York Giants there. But yeah, I see Shedeur Sanders being a member of the New York Giants here.
You are absolutely correct. He is the type to take the punishment his O-line gives him, and he's also the type to let his O-line know that they are giving him that punishment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll see how it goes there in New York. He's a big personality, landing in New York, the biggest media outlet out there. Yeah, so that should be a fun thing to watch.
I am not going to tune into ESPN whatsoever. It's going to be like Lynn Sandy all over again.
It's going to be a fun thing to watch for sure. Or horrible thing to watch. We'll see exactly what it is. But to close out the top four here, Tad, I got the New England Patriots. You talked about it here. Possibly they need to go offensive line. I think in my case, with both quarterbacks off the board here, I think they go offensive line here. They take Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. Similar to the Chargers taking Joe Alt last year, I don't put Will Campbell in that same category as Joe Alt, but it's not going to be a sexy pick. So it's like, the Patriots fans are not going to be screaming at their TV like, yes, we got Will Campbell. It's going to be like, okay, we got Will Campbell. But at the end of the day, he's going to be a cornerstone left tackle for them. Possibly, with the sort of our measurements, it's like maybe they'll shift him inside, whatever it is. You got a very solid offensive lineman pick. You talked about it. New head coach Mike Vrabel. They want to upgrade on both defensive lines there. They signed Milton Williams away from the Philadelphia Eagles, so they're able to anchor their defensive line there. And then now they anchor the offensive side of the ball with Will Campbell there to really give them some good potential there as far as running the ball and or passing the ball.
Yeah, I'm very good top four, first off. My only, reaction to that is, and I'm kind of covering my own ass here, is yes, the Browns should take Abdul Carter number 2. That's absolutely what they should do. I am right there with you. So we're kind of doing, I feel like we fall into this every year of like, you do what they should do, and I do what they will do. And that seems to be the trap you guys fall into. Your draft is exactly what the Browns and Patriots should do. Yeah. I just think in my scenario, Shedeur is too enticing for the Browns to pass up, and then Abdul Carter is too enticing for the Patriots to pass up. Because again, I am all about protecting that young quarterback. So especially with the Patriots of 4, you take Will Campbell. God damn it.
Here's a thought that I want to throw out to you, especially like to give more credence to Shedeur Sanders going to the Cleveland Browns. What if they continue to struggle? The Browns fire Kevin Stefanski, and then they hire Deion Sanders to be the head coach to lead his.
No, don't do it.
I can see it happening. I
don't
can
you wish
that see it being in the cards there for the Cleveland Browns.
Don't you wish that evil on me, Rick Bobby?
Why do you care? They're not even the same division.
Deion as a head coach in the NFL, that is nightmare fuel.
I could see it possibly being in the cards for the Browns. It's like maybe they're eyeing this as a potential, like, okay, Kevin Stefanski, you've been good, but for some reason you can't get it done with Deshaun Watson, so we're going to bring in somebody else to lead it with Shedeur Sanders. Like I said, it's not that crazy.
Apocalypse scenario that happens.
Yeah.
And then Travis Hunter causes a stink with the Giants until he is traded to the Browns.
Yeah. And in the same year, they draft like Jimmy Horn in the 5th round or something like that. Yeah. They're just going to rebuild Colorado's offense in Cleveland.
I think Stephen A. Smith's head would actually explode.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, like I said, it wouldn't be as crazy as I thinking it now, but just like, yeah, it could happen. It could be in the cards there. All right, Tal, let's get to 5, 6, 7, and 8, the next 4 picks in your mock draft.
All right, at number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was interesting because they can go several different directions. They would make a lot of sense. But I have them going Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan.
So you got Johnson as a top 5 pick.
I do, despite the injury, quote unquote concerns, but I think that will be quelled. If it hasn't already. Amar, I will pay you $10. And I'm not going to ask you to name a Jacksonville Jaguars starting cornerback because that's pretty easy. Tyson Campbell. Do you know who's starting opposite of Tyson Campbell?
I don't.
I would be shocked if you did. It is Montaric Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my reaction as well when I was doing research for my notes. He is a 7th round pick at 2022. To be fair, solid career, 1 pick, about 15 pass defenses. So, like, okay, he's solid, not great, but like they need someone to back him up. And I know the popular mock draft pick has been Mason Graham to Jacksonville. Yeah. However, and this is a name you're very familiar with, is who do they just sign in free agency? Do you know?
Eric Armstead.
Eric Armstead. Do you know how much they paid him?
They paid him a good amount of money. Yes.
$51 million. Yeah. So that tells me like, okay, we're pretty okay with the front right now. Let's deal with it back there. So I think that's why they go Will Johnson over Mason Graham. But I'm not saying should they take Mason Graham? That's a bad pick whatsoever. I just think Will Johnson is the smarter pick. So I think that's where the Jacksonville Jaguars go. And number 7.
Number 6.
Sorry, number 6. My bad. The Las Vegas Raiders select, and we talked about this, Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about in the last episode, which, by the way, you can check out on the LAFB Network YouTube channel and wherever you find your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and whatever else is out there that I do not want to know about. But I think that, Pete Carroll, as I said in the last episode, he is, top 5 in the NFL in terms of rushing attempts, 9 of the last 13 years. He really likes to run the ball. The Raiders do not have a go-to running back. Shut the fuck up about the Raheem Mostert talk. He is not a go-to running back. Ashton Jeanty, gonna be a Raider. At number 7, here's number 7.
There you go.
The New York Jets select, oh man, I'm gonna try this. Armand Bembou?
I think it's Bembou.
Damn it.
I think it's Bembou.
The tackle.
Yeah, I'm not 100% for sure.
Yeah, the tackle at Mizzou. Again, the Jets is one of those teams they could go 1,000 different directions, so it makes sense. But you build in the trenches, and I think that with a solid offensive line pick here, they can really start actually having one of the better offensive lines in football moving forward. At number 8, I had the Carolina Panthers taking Will Campbell.
Will Campbell, okay. Got the second offensive lineman here.
Second offensive line. I know a lot of people are like, whoa. Why is the Mizzou guy going over Will Campbell? I'm telling you guys, like, just watch the NFL news. This Mizzou kid, Bembou?
Yeah.
God damn it. Whatever his name is, he's shooting up draft boards. So it wouldn't shock me whatsoever if he's the first offensive lineman off the board, even though it should be Campbell, which is why the Carolina Panthers and David Tepper in a fan bar where he's yelling at the patron, most likely, is popping the champagne because Will Campbell, it doesn't matter if he plays tackle, it doesn't matter if he plays guard, he's gonna rock it at both positions. You protect a rapidly improving Bryce Young, A+ grade for the Panthers there. At number 9, the New Orleans Saints. Where do you think I'm going to go with this? Or where do you think they were going to go with this?
Well, let's stop you there. Let's get to 9 a little bit later here.
Did I already go past 4? I got too excited.
Yes, exactly.
I love mock drafts.
Yeah. But yeah, I can very see all those picks being very sensible. You got offensive lineman to the Jets. You got offensive lineman to the Carolina Panthers as well. They definitely did an upgrade there. But yeah, Jaguars can go a multitude of directions. So I'm going to kick things off, obviously, with my Jaguar selection here, number 5. This is where I have Travis Hunter going. So I still like him in the top 5 here. Kind of like you said, the Jaguars sort of need help all over the place. But the nice thing is that if Hunter wants to play both sides of the ball,
which he does,
he could do that here at Jacksonville because with the release of Evan Ingram at the tight end position, they trade away Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans. They need somebody opposite of Brian Thomas Jr. So you can get a lot of snaps at the wide receiver position. You already brought up that they need somebody else to play the opposite corner position, opposite of Tyson Campbell. So it's like he's got a good chance to play a lot of snaps at the corner position for the Jaguars as well. So I think regardless of which direction he wants to go or if he wants to play on both sides, the Jacksonville Jaguars will give him an opportunity at either side. Maybe after a couple seasons, we'll see as far as how many snaps he can play in an NFL game compared to a college football game. So eventually he will have to commit to one side. But at this point right now, at the time of the draft too, Jaguars need help on both sides of the ball. And I think Travis Hunter can fill either side depending on which direction they want to go and how they want to attack trades and offseason in the future, things like that. He can slide into either side there. So I got Hunter with his versatility going to the Jaguars who need help on all sides there. So going at number 6, we talked about this before. Ashton Jeanty, lock it in. I think, with the trade of Geno Smith, they definitely want to increase the running game there. Bottom 5, Ted, in all rushing categories. Bottom 5 in rushing attempts, rushing yards, as well as rushing touchdowns for the Raiders last year. That is not what Pete Carroll wants to do.
And here I thought one of their running backs was a fantasy sleeper.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of his, Zamir White. I remember that specifically. It did not work out at all.
That's why I have the trophy. By the way, Chauncey sent me that trophy.
But yeah, I think you get a big playmaker with Ashton Jeanty. You pair him up with the other playmaker that you drafted last year, Brock Bowers. Now you got yourself a semblance of an offense there with Geno Smith being able to manage everything for you there. So yeah, Ashton Jeanty, lock it in. Number 6 to the Raiders. Number 7, I got Mason Graham sliding here to the New York Jets. So the New York Jets, I think they get this pick on a silver platter because now you upgrade your defensive line, possibly on paper, Tad, if they draft Mason Graham. Maybe the most fearsome interior defensive line in the NFL because you pair him up with Quentin Williams, already a beast in the NFL. We'll have to see how Mason Graham's career goes. But it's like I said, on paper with that draft selection, could be a very fearsome 1-2 punch on the interior of the defensive line for the New York Jets. New head coach Aaron Glenn will definitely be able to take advantage of that defensive line to get some pressure on opposing offenses there. So I very much like that addition there. And then number 8, I know you went offensive line here, but I think they have a bigger need on the defensive side of the ball. They had no pass rush whatsoever. They could use some linebacker help as well. So I think they go Jalen Walker, the edge that's off-ball linebacker out of Georgia. They need to upgrade their defense in a couple of different ways. I know they signed your boy on TCU, Trevon Merrick. He's now
they did.
They gave JC Horn a big contract as well. So it's like they've got some pieces on defense, but I think they still need to upgrade that front 7 there. I think you bring in a guy like Walker who could rush the passer, be a pass rusher specialist as well, but then he could also drop back into cover. So very similar to what we saw from Micah Parsons coming out of Penn State. I know Dallas eventually made him a pass rusher full time, but I think Jalen Walker can sort of share some of the similar traits where it's like he could play off-ball linebacker, but then when they needed to, they could rush him into the quarterback on 3rd down as well. So he'll play all 3 downs on defense there, and they definitely need that versatility and a lot of help in that front 7. So I like Jalen Walker, a surprise pick there in the top 8.
It would be a surprise pick, but that's one of those surprise picks that, like, after 5 seconds, you're like, okay, that actually makes sense. Like, it ceases being a surprise. And to give our viewers a little like background, preview into how we do our draft processes. I'm in charge of scouting the defense this year. Yeah. Jalen Walker is not on my edge list. He's in my linebacker list. But as you pointed out, they utilized him in both ways so much. He could have gone in my edge rusher list very easily. He's one of my favorite prospects so far. I absolutely love him. So yeah, again, and you know what? I'm going to go out there. This could be the second coming of Luke Kuechly. Because Luke Kuechly was largely the same way of he can cover and he can rush. He can do both. Exactly. It's just, let's hope this one doesn't get concussions. R.I.P. Luke Kuechly.
He's still alive, people. He is not dead.
Allegedly.
All right, let's get to your next 4 picks here. Let's get to 9, 10, 11, and 12.
All right, 9, 10, 11, 12. At number 9, I think this is the big first shocker of the draft for me. Okay. The New Orleans Saints take Ted McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona. Look, I love Chris Olave. You love Chris Olave. We got to make sure that dude lives. I mean, speaking of concussions, my God. Chris Olave, good, but hurt. Rashid Shaheed, good, small, and hurt.
Yeah.
They desperately need some receiver. The Saints are maddening because it's just it's like, when your friend breaks up with his girlfriend and you're like, just let her go, bro. And it's just like, no, it's okay. It might still happen. We might still, it's just like, no, just let it go. It's like the Saints, like, putting off rebuilding. Like, no, we don't need to rebuild. It's fine. It's just rebuild, bro.
Yeah.
Just rebuild. Mm-hmm. And so they could go a million different ways. Honest to God, they could draft any position other than, honestly, they couldn't even draft quarterback and I would get it. But point being is, I think that
it was up to Al Rowe. They've drafted a quarterback at number 9 overall.
We have got to bring that up during our live stream. We have got to bring that up. For those of you who don't know, Al Rowe has an irrational hatred for Derek Carr. And
Jackson Dart has been shooting on draft boards as well, going back and staying in Mississippi.
We're gonna get past them. But yeah, no. So I think the Saints here, they have to, if you're going into rebuilding, you have to protect your most valuable asset, which as of now is Chris Olave. You cannot keep depending on a guy of that stature as your number 1 target. At 6'4", 220, McMillan is the type of guy that will pull the attention away from Olave. So I think that kind of completes their offense there. And number 10, this one I struggle with a bit, but I think the Chicago Bears take Mason Graham.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
That's a good sliding all the way to 10. That's a great pick.
Oh my God. I mean, the Bears are in great position no matter what. Like whoever's there at 10, it fills a need. I think that Braxton, because I keep on seeing tackle as the most widely mocked position there.
Yeah.
But Braxton Jones is serviceable. I think you can.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, you can live with him for another year or so. So, they locked up the other edge rusher position with Deo. He was a Colt, and I still don't even know how to say it. But Deo
Dengbo.
Wow, well done. I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed. But
Dengbo,
yeah, but well, and that contract was plenty risky. I have plenty of thoughts on that contract, but regardless, that's who they're going with at edge. So why not beef up the middle of that defensive line with absolutely the best player on the board in Mason Graham? Chicago, Monsters of the Midway, maybe on their way back. At number 11, your San Francisco 49ers select Kelvin Banks Jr., who will play on the right side for the next year or two until Trent Williams retires, and then he can kick it over to left. I think it's just the perfect succession plan. It's, this is what Brian Cox always imagined for his family.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
All right, we go number 12. I lost count already.
Yeah, let's get to number 12.
All right, number 12, the Dallas Cowboys select Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri. Okay. Jerry Jones loves himself some fireworks. They need a receiver, and Luther Burden is an absolute home run threat as a receiver. So I think he'll go with an offensive player. I don't know which offensive player, but in this mock, I think it's going to be Burden.
Interesting. So I got some similar picks as to where's yours lined up as well, but I think some different players there. So let's start at number 9 with the New Orleans Saints here. I think they go, in my draft at least, Will Johnson's still on the board. So I think they go in that direction here. Yeah. The Saints let Paulson Adebo walk in free agency because they are in cap hell for the 20th consecutive year. It's just like always in such severe cap hell. So they probably wanted to pay him, but they couldn't afford to. So they let him walk. I think they replaced him with Will Johnson. Their current starting quarters are Kool-Aid McKinstry and Isaac Yiadom. In their nickel spot, as far as their slot corner, is Alontae Taylor, who I'm a fan of. But yeah, they need another outside quarter piece. I think that's Will Johnson here. They got to defend a lot of great receivers in the NFC South with Drake London, Darnell Mooney for the Falcons. You got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for the Panthers.
Xavier Legette
and Adam Thielen for the Panthers. So it's like, yeah, they got a lot of.
Sorry to interrupt, but I watched a YouTube video last night of like 5 surprises from last year's draft, 5 busts from last year's draft, and he labeled Legette as one of the busts. You get the fuck out of here.
He probably did produce as probably a lot of people expected him to, especially with some of the injuries they had at receiver, especially to Adam Thielen. But I would not label him a bust. I think it's still, jury's still very much out after 1 year for sure.
I'm putting a warning out there. You guys watch how you talk about my Cajun boy.
But yeah, I think the Saints, they have a lot of positions that they can address, like you already talked about. But yeah, I think they get a replacement here. Will Johnson, one of the best quarters in this year's draft class, get him there at number 9. Number 10 for the Chicago Bears. I got them going with the edge rusher out of Georgia, Michael Williams. I think they go in this direction here. So like you talked about, I think there's a strong opinion that the Bears need to go offensive line or offensive tackle specifically, but they drafted Darnell Wright, who they invested a top 10 pick
and he's looking good
years ago. He's very good. And then, I think they like Braxton Jones at the other position. So it's like, they're going to give him at least 1 more year. So it's like, I don't think they're going to invest in the position with the top 10 pick this year. I think they want to anchor more of that defense. Maybe they go with Ted McMillan here because they want to get a receiver. There's been no talk about Keenan Allen returning to the Bears, but they obviously have Rome Odunze.
I was about to say Odunze and McMillan. Woo!
Give Caleb Williams just that many more weapons to help him succeed. So it's like they could be in the cards here, especially if he's still there. It could be a thing there, but it's like, I don't think they go offensive line here. I think they want to add to the defense, get some more pieces on paper. You signed Grady Jarrett. You already talked about Mason Graham being a good pick here, but it's like, I think they have Grady Jarrett. They got some good pieces on the defensive line here. I think they want to get another edge rusher because, like you said, Dagbo was a member of the Colts, but it's like, even you were like...
He underwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, so I don't know what they're going to get from him with them being with the Chicago Bears. Maybe a new scenery will be better for him, but they have Montez Sweat. They need another pass rusher opposite him. So I think they go with Michael Williams. Bring some good firepower on the opposite side of Montez Sweat.
And this got me defending my pick. It's not even kind of. This is just me defending my pick of, with the Grady Jarrett signing, that is... there's always one of these every offseason where it's like on paper, you're like, oh shit, we got Grady Jarrett. Like, sweet. That would have been a good signing about 5 years ago. And not saying Grady Jarrett is washed, but he's not the same Jarrett you're getting from like 2020.
And that's fine. And like I said, just to
But
defend your pick,
he's a serviceable starter.
But not only that, it's like to defend your pick further, it's like now you got a guy to learn from Grady Jarrett. It's like, who do you want to learn from? That's a guy that I want to learn from to play the interior defensive line. So yeah, I like your pick for sure. But like I said, I think they feel good with Grady Jarrett. That's like maybe they can sort of develop the rest of their defensive line that way. They don't need to add to it. Whether they want to add to the pass rush, I think that's more of a pressing need for them. So that's why I think they go in that direction. So at number 11, I have the same pick as you, but I don't think they'll go in this direction. And that is Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle out of Texas, because the philosophy that the Niners have, their offensive line coach, Chris Forrester, has said that's like, I've told John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan before, that's like, I can make do with getting offensive linemen on day 2 or day 3 and producing them to become starters. Now, has it happened so far? Like, he is not Jeff Stoutland of the Philadelphia Eagles who could sort of make, trash into gold. That's what he did with Mekhi Becton and some other guys, right? But it's like, I think that just means it's like they're not going to waste a premium pick at number 11 on an offensive lineman pick. But I think in this situation, because the value is so good, Kelvin Banks arguably could be the best tackle of this year's draft class. He's definitely top 2. So it's like, because of that value there of him sliding all the way to number 11 here, I think they have to go in that direction to anchor that, because they could go in other directions. I love James Pierce, but I'm hearing that there's character concerns there, so he may go later in the first round. I know you said that there's a lot of hype surrounding Shamar Stewart, but maybe there's a lot more hype as far as production. So that's going to be very interesting. So it's like, I bet you scouts are going to be looking at that too. But yeah, I think here, exactly like I said, they need that long-term answer for Trent Richardson, because he started to show more of his age last year. He missed a handful of games. He's still a all-pro tackle at the position when he's healthy, but just, yeah, I'm seeing less and less of him being on the field, especially last season for sure. So it's like, yeah, they may slide him into right tackle, but he's that eventual successor at left tackle. So that's why I think I agree with you that they'll go Kelvin Banks if he's there.
Okay, 2 things. One, you said Trent Richardson. Which, if that motherfucker, ever makes it back in the league, I will
mistake. Trent Williams.
No. We're gonna focus on Trent Richardson here for a second, because this is a nearly decade-long feud I've had. If you ever come back to the NFL, I will go Mortal Kombat on your ass. You know the only saving grace? I swear to God, this is true. Do you know the only saving grace of that Trent Richardson trade for the Colts?
No.
Do you know who the Browns spent the first round pick they got from us on?
No.
That was the Johnny Manziel pick.
That was the Johnny Manziel pick. Okay.
The only saving grace of that entire fiasco. But anyway.
A little bit.
Here's the second thing. So Membou?
Yeah.
Membou still on your board, right?
He's still on my board.
So
yeah.
I think Kelvin Banks goes before Membou.
I think I'm not believing the hype. Like, I think, like we talked about, he's one of those prospects that's shooting at the boards, but it's like, I think a lot of scouts will sort of look at just, see the talent there. It's like, I think they want to go with what they've seen more expectations for versus like the hype surrounding it. So it's like, yeah, there could be a team that's a wild card and they want to take him ahead of here, but it's like, I think the Niners will sort of do their due diligence. And it's like, I think they go Kelvin Banks in this direction, but Membou could very much be in the picture here. But it's like, yeah, I think because of the value, I think they may go offensive line here. But when the actual draft happens, I don't think they go in this direction. But yeah, that's the way I sort of like to hear.
But they should. But no, I agree with you there that, Membou, again, is like, I see him skyrocketing. And I understand why. Like, he does show a lot of promising stuff. He's still probably going to end up the 3rd tackle on my rankings. Yeah. So no, I'm right there with you of like, should he slip past this point? Yes. Will he get past this point? I very much have my doubts.
It's going to be very interesting for sure. But Tad, talk about a home run pick for the Dallas Cowboys. I have the Cowboys going Tetairoa McMillan here because he is just, like I said, very much another silver platter pick where it's like where everybody else went a different direction. They need another playmaker opposite of C.D. Lamb. They want to anchor that passing offense a little bit more here. So yeah, they get Tet McMillan. Just absolutely home run pick. I hate it, but it's such a good pick that's like after day one is over, they'd be one of those few A+ picks out there with Tet McMillan going to the Cowboys at number 12.
Wait, hold on. Do you hear that? Or is it just coming from my end?
That's probably your end.
Hold on. You know what? It's because I'm so close here in Dallas. Yeah, no, I'm hearing cheering coming from Jerry's yacht.
This would be one of those picks
what
that's
it
like
is.
people will be jumping out of their seats if they land
His
10th to
James
number
Bond
12.
villain yacht is like popping the champagne. Yes, no, I mean, absolutely, like you said, absolute home run pick. Easily the best receiver in this year's class. Damn it!
Yeah, I would hate it too, but yeah, like I said, it's too good to pass.
Oh my God, him and Lamb, Jesus.
Yeah, that's just dangerous. That is just dangerous stuff.
All right, let's move on.
All right, Tails, close out the top 16. Let's get to your last 4 picks here, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
So, okay, you're going to need to correct me again. So, originally I had the Miami Dolphins at 13, taking Jedi Barron, you said?
Jedi Barron, yeah.
Barron, damn it. But then I was kind of looking at their depth chart. I was like, you know what? It's a reach, but it's too big of a need. Is the Dolphins need a safety? So they reach a little bit for Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. They lost Javon Holland to the Giants. Still, in my opinion, the most underrated signing of free agency.
So far, yeah.
I think that it's going to be in a wonderful twist of irony. I think it's going to be like the Xavier McKinney signing with the Packers, where like no one really noted it, and then all of a sudden it's like Xavier McKinney's really good.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
So so the Dolphins need a replacement for Holland, and I think Starks is that guy. At number 14, my Indianapolis Colts, and yes, I did this very much on purpose. They take Tyler Warren. Anthony, listen to me. I started off the set. Technically, it was my apartment, but we'll call it a set.
Still your set, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When we drafted you at number 4, prove me wrong. Because so far you haven't. Because you need a breather when you run further than 10 yards.
That's true.
Despite the fact that apparently you're an athletic quarterback.
Yeah.
Anthony, you listen to me. This is your goddamn last chance. And if we get you a tight end like Tyler Warren, you have no more excuses.
That's true.
Zip, zero, zilch. Tyler Warren to the Colts, best tight end since Dallas Clark. Anywho, where were we?
Let's get to 15.
Okay, 15. Remember, there are 3 things that are a guarantee in life. You ready? Death, taxes, and the Falcons need pass rush.
Yeah, that is very accurate.
I have been saying this literally since 2008 when I started following football. So I think the Falcons, who need pass rush, draft James Pierce. I know you kind of touched on the character concerns. I'm not too worried about that. My main concern with Pierce is like he's kind of like a blank slate. Like I'll just block a marble, right? He's an incredible athlete that jumps off watching his tape. There's not much else that really jumps off the tape.
Okay.
So if he's coachable, and this is where, interviews and stuff I don't have access to, that's where this comes into play. But if you are confident that your defensive coaches can coach him up, I think James Pierce has real potential to be special. If you're just depending on him to figure it out on his own, I think you're going to be disappointed, but I think the Falcons take the gamble and they go with James Pierce. And then number 16, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm tempted to go interior offensive line here, but it's a little too early. I think they'll, roll the dice, hope for the second round, someone falls to them. I think they go Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall. I almost said Tulane. I was getting my green schools mixed up. So out of Marshall, the Virginia transfer, actually something I learned while I was scouting him. But between the signing of Josh Sweat and then the drafting of Mike Green, I think that Jonathan Gannon gets his pass rush that will really help him kind of build around that defense.
Not bad. Not a bad way to close out your top 16. So these are the picks that I kind of struggled with the most. I was not sure what direction some of these teams would go to. So let's start at 13 with Miami Dolphins. I think this is where Bembou finally lands, the offensive tackle out of Missouri.
I'm so sorry, Dolphins fans. You take another offensive line. They take like 7 offensive linemen in the last decade.
But I think very similar to what I was talking about with San Francisco, what you're talking about as well. It's like they need a replacement for Teron Armstead. So it's like, he's showing his age as well. So I think Bembou could be that eventual cornerstone left tackle for them. But in the interim, he has that versatility to play at the guard position to start his career. So it's like, I think they need some help at the guard positions. So I think to start his career, he could be a day one starter on the inside. And then eventually when Teron Armstead decides to hang it up, or they decide to move on from him because it's just his age is showing too much, I think they could put him at the left tackle position. He could fill that pretty well there. So it's like, I think he got the versatility there. And like we talked about, just one of the fastest rising prospects in this year's draft class so far in the first round specifically. So I have him landing here at number 13 to the Miami Dolphins.
I like it. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Let's get to your Indianapolis Colts here. So I wanted to go in a different direction, but ultimately I just couldn't reason out based on the way that my draft board played out. I couldn't think of another direction they could go in that would make sense without it being a reach. So I had the same pick. I think they go Tyler Ward here.
Yes!
But like I said, I think this is more of a luxury pick based on some of the holes that they have.
100% it is. Yeah.
But like I said, just the way that the board played out for me, I think some of the other picks are a little bit more of reaches or just a little bit more questionable as far as filling some of those position of needs. Whereas here, tight end is still a position of need of theirs. But just like I said, to take a tight end in the top 15, it's like you have to have everything else sort of set in order for you to go in this direction. But like I said, just the way the board plays out, I think they stick there and they take as sort of, like I said, quote unquote, luxury pick in Tyler Ward. Like we talked about, arguably the best tight end in this year's draft class. Maybe Colson Loveland could possibly shoot up there, but like still, I think it's Tyler Ward based on everything that I saw during the college football playoffs and everything. It's just like, yeah, this is a great piece to add to that offense tab. But before you interrupt me, who was the last Colts tight end to go for over 60 receptions?
Oh, Kobe Fleener?
It was after Kobe Fleener.
After Kobe Fleener. Who the hell was? Oh, was it Ebron?
It was Ebron.
God damn it! Fuck Ebron, dude. He had one good season.
He had one good year in the NFL total. He had one good year with the Colts. Made the Pro Bowl. He was their last productive tight end at the position. But it was actually a guy after Kobe Fleener as well. Jack Doyle was before Eric Ebron. He had a lot of receptions as well.
That was Andrew Luck's favorite target. Oh, I love Jack Doyle.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think in this case, you need another playmaker at tight end position, a guy that can sort of bail you out when some of those developing receivers are not developing their routes enough. So like, your Michael Pittman Jr., your Josh Downs, your Alec Pierce, if they're two long developing routes are not setting up, you got a guy who could go out to the flat, who could bail out your quarterback, whether that's Anthony Richardson, whether that's Daniel Jones, whether it's somebody else. I think it's a good pick to add a good sort of safety valve option in your offense now with Tyler Ward there. So, yeah, I agree with you. Like I said.
Love it.
All right, Chad. So, yeah, I got the Atlanta Falcons at number 50. I think they go pass rush as well, but I think they go with the gamble pick here. Another guy that we talked about here, a guy shooting up the board as well because the hype surrounding him.
Don't do it.
Shedeur Stewart.
God damn it.
I think they take a chance here, and this is why I didn't mock Stewart because they need pass rush help. I did mock Stewart to the Colts because I think there's just a lot more polish to his game that he needs. He's a lot more raw of a prospect, whereas like the Falcons already have their offense figured out for the most part. They got Michael Penix Jr. as a starter now. They got premier wide receivers. They got a premier tight end. They got a premier running back. So they're set on offense. The defense could definitely use some work. So I think they go with a little bit more of a, project piece here at number 15, Shedeur Stewart. But it's like if they hit on it and he keeps that switch on, because that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is just it's a lot of inconsistency with Shedeur Stewart, where it's like he doesn't have the production, but he's got a lot of that raw talent that you want in a pass rusher. So it's like, yeah, if he could sort of just keep that switch on, he could be a very productive pass rusher for them. But just that is the critical thing for them. But yeah, I see them taking a gamble here with the hype surrounding Shedeur Stewart out of Texas A&M. I think they go with him number 15.
I swear to God, this is true for our listeners and viewers. So for our longtime listeners, what was that? Like 2 years ago, I wear a Patriots shirt every episode. That hurt.
It did.
This will hurt more. And trust me, because despite it not being an official rivalry, there are few schools I hate more in this world than Texas A&M. If Shedeur Stewart ever gets more than 9 sacks in a season in the NFL, I will wear Texas A&M gear for an entire season on this show. And trust me, that will be so painful because I hate Houston. I hate Texas A&M. I hate everything to do with that school. But I will do it because Shedeur Stewart sucks.
All right. But yeah, like I said, I think very similar to Armand Bembou out of Missouri. He's just for some reason his stock is shooting up boards as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people mocking him in the top 10, Ted.
I know, it's driving me absolutely nuts. And I don't like. I literally the entire time I was watching his tape, I was just sitting there with like both hands on my face, like, okay. And you know why I was doing that? Because he didn't have a sack. Yeah. He has 4.5 sacks in his college career.
Years.
Yeah. In 3 years, just whatever. What's your 16?
All right, so to close out the top half, Ted, I
You knew
got
what
the
you were
Arizona
doing,
Cardinals. I think they go. I know you sort of talked about it. It's like maybe they go interior offensive line, but you felt like the reach might be there. I think they go interior offensive line here.
It
So I
would
think
make
they
sense.
go with the guard out of Alabama. I think they go with Tyler Booker here because they're going to be losing Will Hernandez as of right now is a free agent. He hasn't been talked about coming back to the Arizona
Also,
Cardinals.
like,
Most likely he's going to walk there, but they could definitely use an upgrade there on the interior offensive line. Tyler Booker, the arguably the best guard in this year's draft class. I think, like I said, maybe some people may call it a reach to take a guard at this level, but it's like I think they need to make sure they up that protection for Kyler Murray, make sure they have the protection and the running lanes for James Conner and Trey Benson as well. So, like, yeah, I think they go with a sort of quote unquote safe pick and go with Tyler Booker.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the same logic as my Dolphins pick with Malachi Starks, right? Like, yeah, it's a reach, but like it's a need of such urgency. It's worth the reach, right? So it's funny you should say Booker because I was actually, if it wasn't going to be Mike Green in my mock draft, it was either going to be Booker or Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State. Those are the three players I was bouncing between. So no, I think if they take Booker, yes, it's a reach, but it's one of those where I don't penalize them whatsoever. It just makes perfect sense, especially because what did I just say, going back to the Saints, of you have to protect your most valuable, asset. And with the Cardinals, no question, it's Kyler. I know a lot of people are going to be like, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. No, it's Kyler. Because to have anyone else on the ball to him, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be worthless. So yeah, you got to protect your quarterback. So yeah, no, if the Cardinals did that, B+.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Ted. So that'll close out our top 16 for both of us. Why don't you recap your top 16 here?
We have another 16 to go.
We'll do that in a later episode. But yeah, why don't you recap your top 16 for the good folks out there?
Fine. All right. At number 1, I have the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward. Number 2, the Browns selecting Shedeur Sanders. Number 3, Giants, Travis Hunter. Number 4, the Patriots select Abdul Carter. Number 5, the Jaguars take Will Johnson. Number 6, the Raiders take Ashton Jeanty. Number 7, the New York Jets take Bembou.
Yeah.
Bembou, goddamn. I'm going to have to get that one down. At number 8, the Carolina Panthers select Will Campbell. At number 9, the New Orleans Saints take Tet McMillan. At number 10, the Bears take Mason Graham. Number 11, the 49ers take Kelvin Banks Jr. Number 12, the Cowboys select Luther Burden III. At number 13, the Dolphins take Malachi Starks. Number 14, Indianapolis Colts go Tyler Warren. Number 15, Atlanta Falcons go James Pierce. And at number 16, the Arizona Cardinals select Mike Green out of Marshall.
Nice.
We are Marshall.
So to recap my top 16 here, so I got the Titans at number 1, taking the Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. Number 2, I got the Cleveland Browns taking Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State. Number 3, I got the New York Giants taking Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. Number 4, I got the New England Patriots taking Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU. Number 5, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Travis Hunter, wide receiver / quarterback out of Colorado.
We'll see.
Number 6, I got the Las Vegas Raiders taking Ashton Jeanty, running back from Boise State. Number 7, I got the New York Jets taking Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Number 8, I got the Carolina Panthers taking Jalon Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Number 9, I got the New Orleans Saints taking Will Johnson, defensive back from the University of Michigan. Number 10, to close out the top 10, I got the Chicago Bears taking Mykel Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia. To kick into the next pick, I got the San Francisco 49ers taking Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. Number 12, I got the Dallas Cowboys absolutely landing on a silver platter. Tedero McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. At number 13, I got the Miami Dolphins selecting Armand Bembou, the offensive tackle / guard out of Missouri. At number 14, I also have the Indianapolis Colts taking Tyler Ward, the tight end out of Penn State. 15, I got the Atlanta Falcons taking Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. And to close out the first half, number 16, I got the Arizona Cardinals taking interior offensive lineman guard out of Alabama, Tyler Booker. And so, guys, that is our top 16. We're going to be going into
You could say that bookends our episode.
It does definitely book it end for sure.
Nailed it.
But guys, yeah, this is just, one of the few things that we're doing when it comes to draft coverage for you guys. We'll be getting into position talk, with quarterbacks and running backs and various positions that we think are interesting to discuss on the episode. We'll get into some GM scenarios. So we'll spin a wheel. We'll get into some interactions as far as what teams should do when it comes to their picks as far as the first couple of rounds. And then, we're open to a lot of different draft coverage. So we might go into some small school prospects, some guys that are going to be potential busts. There's a lot of different things things that we're going to give it to you guys as far as draft coverage for you over the next month and a half before we get to our NFL draft live stream. Best way you can keep track of everything that we're doing when it comes to draft coverage is hit us up on our social media headlines. You got us on Twitter. You got me at UpTheSide23. You got Tad Side94. Got the show handle at The Decide Guys. And, of course, on Instagram at The Decide Guys as well. So interact with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts as far as our top 16. What do you think as far as, who are some of your favorite prospects this year? What did you think about various pro days that have happened so far? And what pro days excite you as they're coming up in the next month and a half? What do you want to see from us on the episode? Hit us up with those comments as well, whether through the social media handles or on YouTube comments as well. So guys, make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can always stay up to date with everything that is happening with the podcast. And please make sure you're supporting our parent network at LAFB Network, because they're giving a lot of great content as well when it comes to the draft, as far as the Rams and the Chargers are concerned. And then definitely with spring games right around the corner, they got your USC and UCLA coverage as well on the college football level. But Tad, not just football anymore. They got you covered when it comes to MLB action, because we just had the Japan series between the Dodgers and the Cubs. The Dodgers are 2-0 to start the season.
Hey, we don't mention either of those teams.
So they had a very impressive showing in Japan. They'll come back, obviously, back to the States when the rest of the MLB will have their opening day next week. So we'll have some MLB coverage when it comes to the Dodgers, as well as the Angels. And, of course, the basketball season is coming up to wrapping their regular season up. So they got your Lakers and Clippers coverage, as well as they march to secure their playoff spots for the playoffs, which will be happening in April for sure, guys. So yeah, lots of fun action coming from all three of the major sports franchises. They're happening in LA. Lots of great content, guys, coming from a lot of great content producers. But to everybody who's already supporting us by listening to our podcast, by interacting with us on social media, by watching our videos, by commenting on our videos as well, just anything and everything that you're doing to support the podcast, we really cannot thank you enough.
And don't forget to check out all the amazing podcasts we have going on across the LAFB network. There is the LA Podfidential, hosted by a very good friend of the show, Chauncey Talese. And look, if you're like me, where it's like, okay, football gets a little old and we're in the draft kind of dead season, where it's like, all right, let's talk about this in a month. What else can we talk about? Chauncey is the master at that. He talks about everything interesting, whether it's entertainment or any other topic that you want to talk about. He goes off the rails. It's great. It's a ton of fun. So be sure to check out LA Podfidential, and then, I guess check out Salute to Troy. How's it by Alvaro?
It's a good podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cold, dude.
No, that was cool. No, it is a great podcast. Me and Al love to joke around, but truly, especially as, Emmer pointed out, the USC Pro Day, it's already happened. So what is the fallout from that? Al has got all that information for you. Is Lincoln Riley, is this his last year in LA? That's a very real possibility. And Al will give you all the best insights on that. And plus, Al will be on our live stream for the draft in just about over a month now. Mm-hmm. So be sure to check in with him, because, as much as I love to give him trouble, he does kick my ass with analysis. He is good. He is knowledgeable. So be sure to check him out. Again, that is wherever you find our podcast, whether it's the YouTube channel with the LAFB Network or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So be sure to check out all those amazing podcasts. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And please stay safe, everyone.